Number 2019-0117, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Appendix C, St. Charles Parish Subdivision Regulations of 1981, Section 4, Design Standards, Paragraph D, Drainage, 2, Roadside Drainage, A, Subsurface Drainage, to specify a certain type of stormwater inlet for roadside drainage. Before we hand this over to the proper persons, I'd entertain a motion and a second to take up an amended version, and I'll read to you what the amendment will be if it passes. The language stating, if I can find it, where's the sentence I want to add to? Oh, that's not it. It's this one. So the sentence that is underlined that states the maximum spacing of catch basins shall be 60 feet unless modified by the Director of Public Works. That's the end of the sentence on the proposed ordinance. We want to amend and take up the amended version to add the language based on drainage impact analysis to follow the words Director of Public Works. So the Director of Public Works can modify based on drainage impact analysis. Got a motion by Councilman Wilson and a second by Councilman Gibbs. Please cast your vote for us to take up the amended version. That passes unanimously. Okay, now I will hand this over to Michael Albert first, or Mr. Fauché.
The ordinance, as stated already, modifies the design standards within the subdivision regulations for spacing of drainage inlets. The department stewarded this application through the Planning Commission process because it's hidden within the subdivision regulations, and everything that goes through those is required to go through that body first. But I will pass off to Mr. Fauché for the details on the intent and exact workings of what the changes do.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The normal drains that Public Works requires to be installed through the subdivision regulations are basically a curb and gutter type rollover drain with a face inlet level with the street with a small grill on top of it. The issue with that is that during rain events, especially a rain event that goes outside of the street surface area and enters the yards, even if it's a very small portion of the yard, any leaves, debris, sticks, grass clippings, everything ends up on top of the drains. Public Works does not have the manpower in times of these events to station people on top of a drain to continually rake and clean the grill on the top of drains so that it flows. What we're moving to is a raised face, high velocity drain that allows a large amount of water to enter it. And it works in two ways. It does allow a larger capacity of water, but it also, the increased water increases the scouring velocity through the pipes and thereby cleaning the pipes at the same time. The engineering on it is solid. I believe one of the local residents put some information together and it distributed to some residents in Ormond and said it's an 81% increase in efficiency. With the amount of subdivisions that we have slated that are considering coming to St. Charles Parish, it's approximately 3,000 homes on the West Bank. Even if we at some point increase a crew, that's about 7 people. Every 60 feet you have a storm drain. I'm not going to calculate how many storm drains that's equivalent to. But the fact is that during rain events, we're extremely under manpower. And we have to do something. So changing the engineering design is the only way that we can see fit to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Fauché. All right, this is a public hearing for the amended version of 2019-0117, and I'll repeat again, The amended version reflects additional language stating Public Works Director based on drainage impact analysis. Anyone who'd like to speak on behalf of the amended version, please come up and do so now.
Milton Alamo Hornville, and we're talking drainage. And Mr. Cochran's right. This council has increased the surplus in the general fund from 7 million to over 16 million. Don't do much good to have all that money in a pile if we can't fix our drainage. Drainage, this roads and drainage are funded with ad valorem taxes and sales tax right here in this budget. Now let's talk about this clean out. I'm pretty sure it's the same time, and let me back up, completely back up. You know, it's all saying that for you to solve your problem, you have to first recognize you have a problem. And Mr. Fauché is right. We have a problem. We can't get the water where it needs to be. But if you look at these new clean outs, catch basins, whatever you want to call them, and I've seen a few of them put in an Ormond area, they're real similar to the ones that they've used in New Orleans for years. And they've spent millions of dollars trying to clean them. So stands to reason, if you got a larger volume of water going into it, you also got a larger volume of trash. And in fact, some of that trash might be pushed down the culvert, but not all of it. So when you got a subsurface drainage pipe that you can't routinely look at and maintain, what do you have? Another pluggage. We have trouble maintaining our ditches, and we can see them. Open ditches, we can see them. You can come in front of my house right now. The water's been standing in that ditch for weeks because the elevation's not correct. The ditch is not dug properly. So with this, I'm not saying not do it. I'm not an engineer. We got to try something. But with that has to be in place a maintenance plan to maintain it. He just said we didn't have the manpower to maintain what we got now. So do we have the wherewithal, the equipment? Do we have the vacuum trucks? Do we have the people? Do we have the way to inspect these things? We can't wait till they plug up and then we got water everywhere and then we got to go out and clean them. It's got to be a maintenance plan to maintain them. Do we have that? Thank you.
This is a public hearing for 2019-0117 as amended. If anyone would like to speak on this, please do so now. Name and address for the record.
I'm Joey Murray, 13880 River Road in Destrehan, and I want to speak to this matter in this. And I really have to say that St. Charles Parish is thinking outside the box, thinking ahead, making these kind of changes. To have these catch basins become self-scouring, to have the velocity to get them clean, and to get more water into the system quicker, it's going to make a huge difference. I just wish that we'd have seen this some years ago before some of these other subdivisions have been put in. But the good thing is we're going to have it from here on out. And I think it's a good thing, and I hope you approve it. Thank you.
It's a public hearing for 2019-0117 as amended. Anyone else who'd like to speak on behalf of this, please come up and do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council discussion. Mr. Hogan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Getting it into the system quicker means it's going to be getting to the pumping station faster, and we need to make sure that we can pump it out as it gets there. The 1.5 cubic feet per second, is that based upon, and the 60 foot based upon water that can enter into the current type of drainage based on 40 foot spacing?
No, sir. The 1.5 cubic feet per second is based on the inlet of these type drains. The 60 foot is spread out because since we can get more velocity, the 60 foot actually has the area of the maximum capacity of that drain inlet.
Which drain inlet?
The new one, the high velocity drains.
Yeah, the 1.5.
The 1.5,
Yeah.
that's the 60 foot between them is equal to approximately the square area, the volume that will enter that drain at the maximum capacity.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, increasing the spacing by 50%, that even though we're doing that the size of the opening to allow water in is still greater than what we currently have. that can
No.
be entered into the system.
Normally, we go 60 feet on a new project. The reason we went to 40 feet, and we're still okay with 60 feet, is because we're installing some small drainage projects by permit. And I mean small drainage projects, I'm talking about the subsurface drainage in front of people's homes. The 40 feet to 60 foot was to ensure that we had at least one drain in front of each household when we gave them a permit to install their subsurface drainage. When we do a new project, we do it based on the DIA, the Drainage Impact Analysis. Most of those are 60 foot.
Are these going to be located on property lines? Because one of the issues is going to be you may have the inlet sitting in the middle of a lot, but it's where somebody wants to end up putting that driveway, and it's not a mountable inlet.
We
in this
cannot have
case.
these in a driveway. So we're going to try to space them outside of the area of the driveway. But as you know, when a person builds a house, they make a design of the house, and then they have a driveway that fits that design. It could be one end, the other end, it could be in the middle, it could be a circular drive. It depends on the house design.
Right,
But-
which we don't know what that is until the time comes. So that's something
Correct.
that there should be some way that we notify property owners when they go to the department that if you have a curb in front of your house, you cannot put your driveway on top of that curb.
You put it on top of the curb, you can't put it on top of the drain.
I'm talking about on top of the inlet.
Yes, you
Somehow.
cannot, because there are some designs that allow you to have a roll-up on the corner, but yes, you're not going to be able to roll up on the face of that.
Right, so all I'm saying is there's some way that we need to be able to notify property owners when they come to the department. Because most property owners aren't going to go out there and even think about their drain. They're
Well,
going to go hire an architect, they're going to lay it out on the lot, and they're going to go to the department. The department probably isn't even going to check on where that catch basin.
They won't.
And they won't find out until they actually go start building the house. Oh,
Correct.
my driveway's in there. By that time, they may have spent a lot of money. So I'm saying we need to be proactive in somehow informing property owners to watch out for this, because it will be a problem that we will run
I
into.
hope when they purchase the lot that they go out and they view it and see that most of the time the drain is already going to be there.
Yeah, most
Although
people-
some of these are preset.
Most people aren't engineers or the engineering type like us.
I understand.
Thank you.
Any additional council discussion? I'll just say, Mr. Fauché, you mentioned some additional smaller drainage projects that would have an effect on this. The spatial requirements are clearly based on some sort of comprehensive look at this approach, correct?
Yes.
So you've anticipated how quickly the water will move and all of the factors that would come from an engineer. Okay. We appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more council discussion, please cast your votes. To approve as amended, side note. And that passes unanimously.